Anyway, welcome to another week, the Cyber Talk week with Bob and Chris. I thought that video was something that kicked off today's talk.
It's a good thing we don't make any money off this, or we'd be demonetized immediately. So,
for those of you that don't know, that was a screenshot from what is it? Nintendo,
man, Duck Hunt. Back
Nintendo
in the day,
Duck Hunter
Nintendo.
back in the 1980s.
We just lost half our audience, by the way. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no. Anyway, there was a huge announcement this week, and Chris and I wanted to share that with you. When we were talking about it, I was like, "Oh, I got to play the Duck Hunter video." So,
yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense because this is called Operation Duck Hunt. Which whoever names these FBI operations, kudos to you, because that is a great name. And if you really wanted, so they ran Operation Duck Hunt. It took down Quackbot, sort of. It took down a lot of the infrastructure of Quackbot. And I'm sure none of you know what Quackbot is. So let's kind of get into what Quackbot is. Let's start with the definition of botnet, shall we?
Go for it.
So a botnet is simply where malware is distributed. It takes over a bunch of PCs, and they can be controlled by a central actor. A lot of times they're called like a bot herder, but you can just think of them as a hacking group. They take over a bunch of computers, right? And then they can use those computers for malicious activity. So if you've ever heard of a distributed denial of service attack, they can be used for that. It's where, like, Twitter just had one of those yesterday, I think. Yesterday or the day before, where Twitter got taken down in a couple of countries because a threat group called Anonymous Sudan basically sent a distributed denial of service attack or DDoS attack. So, but one of the other ways that a botnet can be used is they can sell access to your PC to other people, to other threat actors that maybe want to do ransomware or steal other things like credentials and things like that. All sorts of bad stuff. And the FBI was able to infiltrate Quackbot, and they got warrants to actually basically provide a script to you to stop the process and stop it from starting and kill the persistence. Some
so Chris, this was that's a whole lot of stuff to unpack there, but basically, guys, this was malware that affected over 700,000 computers,
200,000 of which in the United States, right? Yeah, I think it was 200,000 in the United States.
200,000 in the United States, 700,000 globally, and what Chris just said is they actually wrote a script to fix it and released it.
Yeah, they took over part of the infrastructure of Quackbot. So when you checked in, so when your computer checked in, I think it was like one every 1 to 4 minutes, you would get this, and it would basically tell your computer to unload it. So that's all they could get the warrant for. The FBI, they went to a judge and they got a warrant. The only thing they could get is that they could try to remove or run this script to try to remove the Quackbot process from running on your computer. That's it. That was the only scope that they had. The problem with that is it could have a scheduled task that restarts it and things like that. So they're
right. Providing a remediation isn't something new. We've seen this in the past, Chris, didn't we? The Exchange issues had it.
Well, that was different. They hacked into those Exchange servers and tried to fix them, but they didn't remove all the persistence. They actually executed against some of these bigger companies that had Exchange servers exposed. They actually essentially hacked them.
Yeah.
They just delivered they delivered from the existing Quackbot infrastructure a script to kind of stop it.
But one of the big things here is that this was not a U.S. only thing. There was a lot of cooperation going on here.
Romania, Latvia, France, Germany, Netherlands. Am I missing one?
UK, Romania, yeah.
Oh, UK. I missed the UK.
And
they don't count. They're not in the EU anymore. I'm gonna get haters for that.
It looks like the initial takedown they seized almost $9 million worth of crypto. Yep. That doesn't approach I think they had 58 they documented like 58 million in
like 18 months, right? Between 2020 and
over
2021 and 2022, 2023, it was like 58 million bucks. And that's only the money they think they got from ransomware. That's not even talking about the money they may have got from selling access to these computers. And the FBI says it's an ongoing investigation, so we'll probably see more out of it. I saw 6.5 million credentials were harvested from the United States, which those will be, I believe, on Have I Got Pwned?
Yep.
Pretty soon, because they have an agreement with them where they kind of feed that in there. Yeah, this is big. QuackBot's been around since like 2007, and their infrastructure was pretty cool. I guess I probably went a little too technical already, but like the way that they had it set up made it really hard to take down. So the fact that the FBI was able to kind of get to that level is pretty impressive from a technical standpoint. I think during their DOJ press conference, they actually said it was one of the most technologically advanced takedowns they've ever done.
Yeah, well, you look at a lot. You look at a lot of the reports and stuff on a lot of this malware and stuff, and a lot of times these guys have better control infrastructure than a lot of corporate entities where they manage their own stuff.
I mean, this is a 3-tier system. We'd have to pull the image up, but if basically they hid their main command and control servers through proxy servers, and then they had these things called super nodes. So some of these devices that they took over, they were able to elevate them to super nodes, and they could rotate through them. So it was really hard to stop to actually get in the infrastructure and stop them. So
one thing on the command and control thing is lot of the tools and stuff out there look for known command and control, and that's how people think shut them down. So what Chris just said of rotating stuff, it makes searching even harder. Is if they can have any machine become the command node for a while, who are we looking for today?
Yeah, and they just relayed. It was interesting. They basically, you connected to one of the super nodes, and then they encrypted all that communication back to the actual true command and control server. So pretty advanced infrastructure.
I think one of the great things to really look at here is the fact that this was a multinational operation, and it doesn't, operating in a foreign country now doesn't matter because these guys are all working together. Our guys, the good guys, are working together now.
Yeah, part of the infrastructure that they took over was the United States. Part of it was outside the United States, so they needed those jurisdictional agreements to do it. They're doing a really good job from a cyber perspective of working with like the EU specifically is really open to working with the United States to try to take down some of the stuff that's like in Eastern Europe. So, Interpol and stuff like that. But.
So this is great news heading into a long weekend. We really should remind everybody that, it is a long weekend, and this is the day that, a lot of bad guys will attempt to compromise people via email compromise, getting the click on stuff because, hey, it's time to go home. Let me just check out for the weekend and move on. So
go to the beach or something.
That's where people think, and the mindset that they're in. A lot of people I know. I talked to my daughter, and she's like, "Yeah, 10 people in my office are already not coming in today. They're gonna have a 4-day weekend." So, guys, think before you click. And I think that's pretty much going to wrap it for this week, Chris. Let's keep it light. And
you want to take a second just talk about what people can do?
I think
it's important. We covered it real quick. Let's just talk about what people can do from a standpoint of one of the things that you really need to be able to do in your business, and this kind of comes back to what we've talked about multiple times before, is you really need to have a level of detection response in your company, because not every one of these victims was like an individual. Some of them were like critical infrastructure. That was one of the targets of QuackBot, was critical infrastructure. They got access to a medical facility someplace in the United States. I forgot where they said. The FBI didn't release any kind of like names because they didn't want to like out people.
Okay.
It's an ongoing investigation, so I'm sure eventually we'll get that information. But it's really important to understand that like having like the ability to detect these threats in your environment is so critically important. Having an endpoint detection response is really critically important, because this kind of malware can spread inside of your company and lead to like lateral infection. And it's really easy when they have that level to do like something like ransomware against you, or exfiltrate data, steal. Even if they don't have the ransomware, they can steal your data. So if they can move throughout your company and you don't even know what's happening, you could be infected for days, months, years, and not even know it. They could just keep stealing information over and over again. So it's important to do that. It's important to have a response plan. And it's important to have data protected. So if you do get hit with ransomware, that you have data that is maybe in 2 or 3 different spots. One that's maybe offline, including multi-stage backups that have some level of immutability to them. And all that means is they can't be deleted for any reason. That way, if a threat actor does get in and try to delete it, like you still have a backup to go back to. And
absolutely,
this is all like, it's all common stuff. It's not really specifically to Quackbot. It's just really any kind of malware, any kind of like threat to your business. It's really important to have this stuff in place. We just dealt with, and this is kind of a side note, it's not Quackbot related, but we just dealt with a company that they had invoice manipulation, and
happens every day.
Oh, dude, this happens so many times. It's ridiculous. But in this case, they took over a person's email account inside the business, and the business didn't know. The guy went on vacation because he's on vacation, and they tried to manipulate an invoice. Luckily, the threat actor screwed up, and they changed it from what should have been like, I don't know, like $4,000 or $5,000 to like $5 million. So, oops, decimal points will get you every time. So they like that set off red flags with the other company, and nothing bad happened out of this, but it kind of just illustrates like, hey, this stuff happens every day. It's happening more and more, and it's stuff that we just have to be able to detect and respond against.
Yeah, so, typically what we've seen on those invoice changes is they're really just changing the payment information. They're leaving it as a legit invoice, and we got a new bank account, or our accounts got compromised. Use this account instead, and the other guys don't pick up. So back when you were talking about the about what people can do, or that have I been pwned. Is now making some of the data available. I just dropped the link in the video, so that's the website you guys can go to actually search for yourself. It's a free site. You can put your email address in there or your domain and try and see what kind of data is sitting out there. It's a free resource that you can use. Chris and I have some resources to go even deeper. But it's this will show what might be out there, and then if you've got an existing environment you're not sure is completely safe and protected, or you just got a feeling that something's not right, give us a call. We can definitely work with you and look for other signs that there's something deeper going on.
Yeah, and this is just what we've talked about is a short list of things you should do too. Like there's more to it than that. A good security program in general is really going to help you as a business. But hey, let's celebrate the good news. This is good news. It's not all rainbows and sunshine here. Like they took down part of the infrastructure. We'll see how long that lasts, if they can spin the infrastructure back up. But this is good news. So it's good that we're getting to this point in communicating and really taking down that stuff. But we're not out of the woods, guys. It's going to be something that's going to keep going for the foreseeable future.
Ever.
Yeah. So we just got to be prepared, right?
So okay.
Practice. Be prepared for game day, right?
Absolutely. And that's gonna be a wrap. Let's call it a week.
Labor Day.
Have a good weekend.